Hello everybody, welcome back to Chasing Rank. It's one of your free presenters, Dammo_23, and it's very good to be back producing FPL content, especially for what is going to be a very exciting 25-26 season. Today I'm going to be taking you through my Game Week 1 draft, and it is a bench boost draft. We're going to discuss pros, we're going to discuss cons, and we're going to discuss why I am currently leaning towards hitting the button in Game Week 1. With that being said, and before we continue, as you can see on screen, we have rebranded the channel, and as such, we are looking for subscribers, likes, comments, and of course, some engagement with the channel. So if you could please, right now, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and leave a comment, or just your draft, what you're currently on, and I will, on my personal YouTube channel, go through the comments and make sure to leave a like or some information in what I would suggest you do. Without further ado, let's get into it. Let's go chase some rank, and let's see if I can beat my top 25k finish from last year. So, the pros of bench boost in Game Week 1. Obviously, firstly, it has to be mentioned, we have got double the chips this year. We have one set of chips to use between Game Weeks 1 and 19, and we got one set of chips to use from Game Week 20 through till the end of the season. Historically, we have always looked to target those double game weeks towards the end of the season, but having a duel of each chip really opens us up to some really cool and interesting strategies. First one being bench boost in Game Week 1, and the main reason why I'm leaning towards it is it's the only time you can have a wild card, because it's the start of the season, and prepare right up to the deadline to have a wild carded bench boost team. You can then obviously attack all the good Game Week 1 fixtures and look at probably some of the sides that are playing the newly promoted teams. And importantly, you can also start on top in your mini leagues and or having a very good start in just overall rank. This also means that you don't have to plan for future weeks, as you've already used the chip, it is out the way, and as you saw with the assistant manager chip last year, sometimes having so many chips to play can just become a little bit overwhelming and a little bit confusing in what you're going to have to do. Obviously, when there are some pros to a strategy, there's going to be some cons as well, and in bench boost Game Week 1, there definitely are a few cons. First, you can't be certain of anything. As we saw last year with Nkunku, we thought he was going to be nailed and fantastic, and as you saw last season, that flopped probably as bad as anything could have gone. There are new players, new managers, new teams, and lots of transfers in the league. We don't know how anyone's going to set up, and this can really hurt you on a bench boost when you need all 15 players to play. You're also going to be forced into an early wild card, as a lot of the players you will target in a bench boost have really bad fixtures from Game Week 2 and beyond. And for the draft I'm doing today, my own personal plan would be to use this draft and then wildcard in Game Week 2. This has a problem with flexibility, and brings us to our last point, where other players will be more flexible and be able to take advantages of fixture swings, where we've already used a few chips. Fixture swings such as Game Week 13, where you've got Man City, Newcastle, and Liverpool having a great swing, and players that we would likely have from Chelsea and from other teams such as, off the top of my head, Spurs, where we would have them in the early part of the season, their fixtures turn real bad around then, and we have no chips that we can use to get out of that situation. With that being said, I still think there's a lot more pros than cons, and that flexibility in the first part of the season is important, but not as important as being able to choose your own 15 players and start really well from Game Week 1. With that said, let's get into this draft, and let's see the players that I've chosen for my Game Week 1 bench boost draft. Let's get into the draft that I'm looking at for my bench boost in Game Week 1. Before we do so, let me know in the comment section, what are your pros and what are your cons to a Game Week 1 bench boost, and what are you going to decide to do? And if you enjoy this video, give it a like as well, really helps with our engagement. On screen, as you can see, are both goalkeepers that we have plucked for our draft. And with that being said, let's discuss both of them. Firstly, it's Sanchez, a very improved Chelsea defence at the start of the season with the Club World Cup, and they look good towards the end of last season defensively as well. I think it's a great opening fixture against Crystal Palace at home, and there is an option for a clean sheet and some save points as well, as Palace are okay on the attacking side of things. Secondly, the best $4.5 million fixture I think there is for Game Week 1, and that is Verbruggen at home against Fulham. Is he the best $4.5 million goalkeeper moving long term? Maybe not. That's probably Kellier. But with that being said, it's a great fixture. It's at home to Fulham, and I think there's a potential on your bench for save points and, of course, clean sheets. Your defenders for the draft are as followed. For those that are not watching the video, it's Pedro Porro, Destiny Udogie, De Kuyper, Kirkes, and Wan-Bissaka. And now let's discuss each one in order. Gonna start with the first two players, which are the two Spurs boys. They both have Burnley at home, which is a great fixture. And historically, Pedro Porro, very attacking, on set pieces, probably a great opportunity for attacking returns plus a clean sheet. And Destiny Udogie, in their most recent friendly, played really high and really aggressive, almost as a left winger on the other side. With that being said, opening fixture that is fantastic, and a fixture where I think there is bulk points for the two Spurs defenders. De Kuyper's an interesting one. You can sub him in for any of the other Brighton defenders if you wish, like Lewis Dunk, that might be more nailed for minutes. But with Estupia now going to Milan, he will be your starting left back at Brighton more than likely. With Fulham at home and a naturally aggressive attacking talent at left back, like your doggy, will be very high, very wide, getting those balls into the box, and might just be the one that gets you the attacking returns on your bench boost in Game Week 1. Kirkes needs no introduction, obviously was fantastic for Bournemouth last year. As a Liverpool fan, I'm very bullish on him, and I think he'll be a great little asset to a very good defence that we currently have. He'll also be very aggressive on the left-hand side, and a Liverpool side with a lot to play for in Game Week 1 at home to Bournemouth. This one could be just a clean sheet, could be 5 or 6 goals, and it might be Kirkes on one side, creating a lot of that, getting bonus points, attacking returns, and a big haul to start your season. Lucky last is Wan-Bissaka, someone that historically gets a lot of CBIT or defensive contributions. He is someone that's playing Sunderland away, who I think will be up for it come Game Week 1, but probably will not have the quality to score. So he's playing a newly promoted side that will try to attack, and Wan-Bissaka will get a lot of those defensive contributions. He'll likely get a clean sheet, and he also got quite a few assists last season. So there is attacking potential here, and I think all 5 players that I've mentioned can all have big hauls come Game Week number 1. It's a balance of playing newly promoted sides, at home, quality players, attacking returns, and some defensive contributions. Into the midfield 5, I'll read them out for those that are not watching the video but listening. It's Mohamed Salah, Heung-min Son, Minte, Souček, and NDA, who I hope I've pronounced his name correctly. Let's start with the man, the myth, the legend, the greatest FPL player of all time, and that is Mohamed Salah. At home, Bournemouth, as mentioned, we have a lot to play for, and I just don't see a world where he doesn't get on the score sheet. He generally starts Game Week 1 very well, historically in FPL, and I just don't see a world where him as your captain is not going to guarantee you some points. So with that said, a no-brainer there. The one that I'm most interested in though is Heung-min Son. Burnley at home, newly promoted side, under a new manager, and after what was probably his worst season in the Premier League. You've seen a points reduction, so to get a midfielder that's usually a premium for only 8.5 million seems pretty cheap and pretty good. Remember, it's a Game Week 1 draft. You're not picking him for this Game Week 2 fixture against Manchester City if you wildcard. And with that said, I just think Son's fantastic, and on his day, can haul a lot of points. And against Burnley at home, there's no better opportunity than for him to start his season really well. Minte's quite interesting at Brighton. Yet again, they have Fulham at home. And as you can see, Fantasy Football Hub love him in the algorithm. I also think he's very attacking, he's super nailed, and generally pops up here and there with an assist and a goal and hauls some big points. With that being said, as a home fixture, Game Week 1, and a game I expect to be quite open, I think Minte will have a lot of opportunity to pop up and get himself on the score sheet. Souček is also one of those players that seems to not do much than haul really big. He gets on the end of some crosses arriving late in the box, and that's with his feet or his head. He's in and around every set piece, and more importantly, he has a relatively good CBIT or defensive contribution. So there is multiple ways to get points. If West Ham keep a clean sheet, which we hope they do because of Wan-Bissaka that we have, he's going to get the extra point for a clean sheet, hopefully some extra points for CBIT, and there is definitely a world where he also gets himself on the score sheet. There's lots of routes to good points for Souček, and I really am bullish on seeing how well he goes in that first fixture against Sunderland. Lucky Last is NDA. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, from Everton. He seems super nailed. They've got Leeds away, another newly promoted side, and a theme of this draft. Target those teams that have just come up into the league with players that have got good attacking upside in a fixture that should be relatively easy for them in the first game week. I think Ndaya fits the bill, and it leaves us 24 million to build our front three for this game week 1 draft. And finally, onto our front three. We have Ekitike, who I hope I pronounced his name correctly, from Liverpool, the new signing. João Pedro, who's also a new signing at Chelsea. And Jared Bowen, who's now become a forward in Fantasy FPL. This gives us 0.0 in the bank and an overall team rating of 90%, but a 94% game week rating. We have a predicted points of 58.6, but I'll touch on all that in just a second. Let's talk about the free strikers first, starting with Ekitike. Big name signing, 90 million spent. I don't see a world where he doesn't start for Liverpool come game week 1. And against Bournemouth, in a fixture that there should be a lot of goals for Liverpool, you want to have your hand in the cookie jar and try and get the 2 most nailed starting attackers in that front three. And I think I've done so in this draft. If there's going to be points for Salah, there's going to be points for Ekitike, and I really think both of them could start the season really strong. João Pedro looked fantastic in the Club World Cup, very creative, scoring goals, and he looked really good in the Chelsea Blue. I will say, do I think he's absolutely nailed? Maybe not. And is he on penalties? Definitely not. That will be Palmer. But if he does start come game week 1, and I think he will, he'll have routes to assists, routes to goals, and I just see a world where he hauls against Crystal Palace at home. Lucky last is Jared Bowen, and it has to be said before we get into it, him becoming a forward and not a midfielder anymore is not great for us FPL managers. It makes him less accessible and has less route to points. However, we're not thinking long-term with Bowen. We're thinking 1 game week and building the best game week 1 draft for the maximum amount of points to start your season. And he's got Sunderland away, and he is West Ham's best talisman. With that being said, there's a world where he scores 2 or 3 goals, maybe gets an assist in there, and he gets a monster haul. It really starts your season strong. With that being said, the game week rating of 94% does not include the bench. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to read out the team in its entirety and then predict how many points the bench boost will get and add it onto the score. So we got Sanchez in goals at 5 million, playing against Crystal Palace at home. Your back three is Kirkers against Bournemouth, Pedro Porro against Burnley, and De Kuyper against Fulham at home. You've then got your captain armband on Salah against Bournemouth at home, with Son playing Burnley at home, Minte against Fulham at home, and NDA playing against Leeds away. You've got Ekitike, the new signing at Liverpool, against Bournemouth at home, João Pedro, the new signing at Chelsea, against Palace at home, and Jared Bowen against newly promoted Sunderland away. This means on your bench, you would have Verbruggen against Fulham at home, Souček against Sunderland away, Udogie against Burnley at home, and Wan-Bissaka against Sunderland away. Now, we've obviously got the game week rating at 94 and predicted points at 58.6. But let's try and guess how many points this bench boost will score. I'm going to give none of our players any assists or goals, but I think all of them on the bench have a very high chance of a clean sheet. So let's give them all a clean sheet. That means Verbruggen's going to get 6 points for a clean sheet and 90 minutes. Udogie and Wan-Bissaka the same. So 6 times 3 there is 18 points. Souček does nothing, plays 90 minutes, and gets himself a clean sheet point of 1, which makes 3 points. That is 21 points on your bench boost, which I think all of us would take in a bench boost week. That means your total points would go to 79.6 predicted points. And I would guess or estimate that our game week 1 rating would go up to around the 96 to 98% mark with those amount of predicted points. What I will say, and I will end with, is I'll quickly flick to game week 2. And as you can see from the screen, this team goes straight to a 79% game week. And that's because you've got Spurs playing against City. You've got obviously some harder fixtures in there for, De Kuipers away to Everton, who will probably score. You've got your doggy, you've got Verbruggen, who's going to concede. You've got Sanchez against West Ham away and Bowen playing against them. So it's not the greatest game week 2. But we're not here for the long term, ladies and gentlemen. We're here to go and give you a draft that would nearly guarantee a very high start in FPL rank come game week 1. There's a lot of ways the points in this team. The bench boost should score fairly well, and it should give you the upper hand in your mini leagues and the overall rank. And I think that outweighs the cons of not being as flexible, because you can build a really good game week 2 wildcard, save up those transfers, get to 5 free transfers, and still have some flexibility where other players may have more. But are they going to score as many points as us in game week 1 on the bench boost? Who knows? But the bench boost in a week of a wild card seems pretty cool. With that being said, I hope you've liked the video. And if you have, give it a like. Do subscribe to the channel. There'll be more content coming out in pre-season and the season in general. The podcast will be back as well. And without further ado, leave a comment down below if you're going to bench boost in game week 1. Give us your draft. And I'll see you guys next time for more content. Thank you and goodbye.